Emily set the table for breakfast, cooking everything the way her husband liked. Harvey had had gastritis since childhood and needed a special diet. Emily had long ago become accustomed to this and always made her best for her husband's health. She walked into the bedroom and, touching his shoulder, began to wake him up quietly. "What? Is it morning already?" he asked, opening his eyes. "Oh, I didn't get enough sleep again." "You should take the day off," replied his wife. "You work too much. You don't take care of yourself at all. Here, you came in very late again yesterday. I was already asleep." "Well, you know how much work I got after the promotion," replied Harvey, and began to dress. "But that's all right. I have a leave soon. We'll take the boys from the camp and go to the sea all together." Harvey and Emily's sons had gone to summer camp 2 weeks ago for a break from the hot and stuffy city outdoors. Emily was happy, but like any mother, she missed her children. The prospect of going to the sea made the woman happy. She smiled and kissed her husband. "I look forward to August," she said, "but we have another event ahead of us, remember?" "Do you mean my birthday?" smiled Harvey. "Yes. I would like to celebrate this holiday in a way I've never done before, but as luck would have it, that very day I will still be on a business trip. Would you be offended if we celebrated next week?" "Well, I'm not a child and I won't get upset over such nonsense." "Fine, honey. I promise we'll celebrate this day in such a way that you'll remember it for the rest of your life." Harvey had no doubt about that. He had a quick breakfast, got ready, and went to work, and Emily, having finished cleaning up, immediately sat down to call all the relatives and friends of her husband. But first, she dialed the number of her mother-in-law. Mrs. Mitchell was pleased to hear from her daughter-in-law and began to ask her about her son and grandchildren. Emily told about all the latest events in their lives, and then the conversation turned to Harvey's work. Mrs. Mitchell was anxious about whether her son was coping with his new responsible position. "Of course, don't worry," replied Emily. "You know, it's just a blessing that Mr. Ross took Harvey into his company. He's very capable, after all, and in his previous job they didn't let him reveal himself at all, and didn't see any prospects in him." "Yes, that's true," agreed Mrs. Mitchell. "Well, you know that Mr. Ross was my late husband's best friend, and therefore he was happy to help Harvey when I asked him for it. Besides, he's known Harvey since he was born." Mrs. Mitchell started to reminisce about the old days, and then suddenly asked Emily about Mr. Ross's new wife. It turns out that he had been alone for a long time after his divorce from his first wife, and recently Mrs. Mitchell found out that he had married a woman 25 years younger than him. "Harvey said her name was Stephanie, and she was a year or two younger than me. I saw her once at a corporate party. By the way, you will see her. I want to invite Mr. Ross and his wife to Harvey's anniversary party. But please don't say anything to your son. I intend to arrange a surprise." I told Harvey that I would be on a business trip, and we will celebrate on the next week, but in fact, the party will be on Saturday. And I would like you to bake a cake. You are the best pastry cook I know. "Thank you, my dear. Don't doubt it. I'll do everything," rejoiced the mother-in-law. They talked some more, and then, after a warm goodbye, each of them went about her business. Shortly before Harvey's birthday, Emily left as she had promised, and on the festive day she secretly gathered all the relatives and friends at the appointed place. She waited for her mother-in-law with a huge cake, and then the whole noisy group went to her house to make a surprise for her husband. A couple of hours before, Emily called Harvey's boss. "Good afternoon, Mr. Ross. I had invited you next week for Harvey's birthday party, but circumstances have changed, and I decided to congratulate him today. I hope you and your wife have a free evening, and you will find an opportunity to come to us. Once again, I apologize for the force majeure," said Emily. "No problem, Emily. Tonight's tonight. I'm free, but unfortunately Stephanie went to visit her parents yesterday. I'll be there for sure. Don't start without me." And so everyone was in place. Emily quietly opened the front door, and when they entered the apartment, everyone saw that everything was covered with rose petals, and that candles were lit in the charming half-light. The guests were confused, while Emily went to the bedroom and opened the door. The astonished people saw an outrageous picture. Harvey was having fun with Stephanie, his boss's wife, right on the matrimonial bed. An angry cry of indignation burst out from Mr. Ross, and he grabbed his wife and literally dragged her into the next room, while Harvey's mother, glaring angrily with her eyes, hurled her gorgeous cake at her disgraced son. "You scoundrel!" she shouted. "Shameless! What have you been missing? Your wife is clever. Your boss is a golden man. He opened up so many opportunities for you. And how do you repay him?" Humiliated, destroyed, and covered with cake, Harvey sat on the bed. The guests left the apartment one by one. From the next room could be heard the loud shouts of Mr. Ross and sobs of Stephanie, who somehow tried to justify herself. Mrs. Mitchell, bursting into tears of shame and frustration, also left the apartment, and no one in all this time even remembered about Emily. Even Harvey did not immediately find the strength to look at his wife, and when he looked up, he saw that she was smiling. "And how should I understand that?" he asked, realizing that this whole situation was no mere coincidence. "Have you still not understood?" grinned Emily. "You thought I didn't notice anything at all? You made me into a servant and got used to the fact that I always protected you from everything, provided you with comfort and peace, and finally you got impudent at all. How have you repaid me for treating you well? Endless cheating. You thought you were smarter than the others, but in fact you're the stupidest person in the world. But now everybody knows who you are. In one moment you've lost everything. Now you have no wife, no family, no job, no friends. I could have confessed long ago that I knew about your cheating, but I wanted revenge, and I succeeded. But what about our children? Let's forget everything for our boys." Emily laughed and asked if Harvey could forgive her if she had cheated on him. The man shrugged his shoulders, and then Emily, grinning again, assured her husband that he would gladly forgive her even a few betrayals, since he was used to the comfort that Emily had provided all these years and would never want to part with it. "So don't even count on forgiveness. We're getting a divorce, Harvey. This is my birthday present to you. Besides, I'm leaving for my hometown, where my sons are already waiting for me. They've been living with my parents for a long time now, and they haven't gone to any camp. Now we're going to live on our own, without you." "Emily, I won't let you go," was all Harvey could say. "You're not only foolish, Harvey, you're blind. I took all my things out long ago, and you didn't even notice it. Of course, these are such little things, and you cared only about the things that touched you personally." At that moment the door swung open, and Mr. Ross burst into the room and asked Emily for permission to talk to her husband. "I don't have a husband anymore," replied the woman, and left the room, noting from the corner of her eye how Harvey's eyes widened in horror at the sight of the threateningly clenched fists of his boss. On the street, she caught a cab and asked to be taken to her hotel. She sat in the car, proudly raising her head. The cab driver involuntarily admired in the mirror the beautiful woman, but he did not see how a little later she closed herself in the room, went into the bathroom, and for a long time the noise of the water concealed from everyone the bitter sobs of the most unhappy woman in the world. The pain of resentment and disappointment bound Emily's heart, but she would never allow anyone to see her in this condition. Perhaps if she had not had her sons and parents, she would have committed some irreparable act. But the woman knew she had no right to do that, and her ex-husband was not worth her tears or such sacrifices. After a few hours of crying, she finally calmed down and fell asleep. When she woke up, she decided to take a walk around town to distract herself from sad thoughts. There were 10 hours before the train, and she had to spend it somehow. To Emily's surprise, the same cab driver who had brought her here was waiting for her on the hotel steps. He was standing with a huge bouquet of flowers, and seeing Emily, he stepped toward her. "I've been waiting for you. My name is Paul. I just couldn't forget such a beautiful woman whose eyes shrieked in such pain. This is not right. You should be smiling and enjoying life, and I'm willing to help you do that. Please, tell me your name." Emily was stunned. She looked at the man, smiled, and said her name. And she also suddenly realized that there were many more interesting things awaiting her in life. "You know, Paul, let's take a walk. You won't believe it, but I'm happy to have met you." Several years passed. Emily married Paul, and they had a daughter. Her sons found common ground with Paul and became very attached to him. The man taught them to drive a car, went fishing and hiking with them. They worked together in the garage and went many other places. Emily heard nothing more about Harvey, and she didn't want to hear, because for the first time in her life she was truly loved and happy.